Is Juanita here?
She's on the phone.
And is Ryan here?
Ryan is not.
Um,
Okay, let's go to Liana first, since we don't have the police. Liana, could you give us the parks update?
Yeah, I would be happy to. I still new to this group, so always welcoming feedback for what you do and do not want to hear. So if I'm sharing too much, please feel free to give me feedback, whether that's during this meeting or shoot me an email afterwards. That's great. I wanted to share that we have a trails update. Teach Beardy and Clean Water Services are working on stream enhancement and a bridge replacement at Fano Creek Greenway, which is not in this neighborhood, but is adjacent. And that new bridge will be installed this month. A really big trails project that's coming up is the West Side Trail Bridge. This is a feasibility study. This again is not super close, but it's a regional trail that connects south to north of the city and the district. So you might be interested. Teach PD is exploring a development of a pedestrian and bicycle bridge over Highway 26. And that would go from the West Side Trail to Southwest Greenbrier Parkway over Highway 26. So during this phase of the project, we are just doing a feasibility study to see how much it would cost and what a bridge might look like. And we would love for you all to complete the survey we have on that webpage right now. So if you have any interest in that, or you want to share that out with your networks, that would be amazing. We would love to get your input.
Could you send us the link to that so we can put it in the minutes?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. Should I go ahead and drop that in the chat?
Yes, please.
Got it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's fantastic. All right, so you'll find that link in the chat there. An outdoor volunteer opportunity that might be interesting for you all is our Talking Walls project. That is a project that we started in October, and we're adding a new set of talking walls, which are murals, and they're to be installed at Greenway Park. That project is coming up this Saturday with participation from our NAIA, or our Native American Youth and Family Center partners. So we're looking for volunteers for that project, and it should be really fun. So if you're interested and you like the idea of helping paint murals, you can go online and check that out on our THPRD volunteer webpage. Some other news that's fairly close to your area, we have out of school programs starting. THPRD is offering out of school care at both Conestoga and Cedar Hills Rec Centers. Spots are available, and the recently announced Beaverton School District Cares Fund is being used for tuition. So that's an opportunity some of you might be interested in. Another thing, again, not super close, but might be worth mentioning, we are expanding off-leash dog spaces. Staff will be installing a temporary pop-up dog run at Ridgewood Park. That's really in the Cedar Hills area. And that'll be from November 4th to 20th. On November 14th, which is coming up in a couple days here, they'll be hosting a big dog themed event. So if you have a dog, you're looking for something fun to do outside, it'd be a great place to go. And then they're also taking volunteers, and they'll be gathering feedback to determine if that's a good spot for a dog run. And then just generally, staff at THPRD are really busy with tree management. So with the hot, dry summers and the recent windstorms, staff are paying extra attention to those tree health and hazards. Staff have invested extra time in recent weeks inspecting trees and natural areas and responding to neighborhood inquiries on those. Maintenance work is also big right now in terms of winterization. So staff are clearing debris from roofs, gutters, downspouts, repairing windows at all our facilities, and working on that. And then we have a few district-wide updates just to let people know, remind people that we have a financial aid program. And you can receive up to $200 per person annually in financial aid for different programs and opportunities at the Parks District. We're also starting a preschool programs that are available now again, accepting applications for those. And just a general volunteer update is that over the past few months, the Parks District has engaged 21 volunteers who contributed 60 hours to weed, mulch, and winterize our community gardens. These projects are a great opportunity for quarantining families and neighbors to socialize at a safe distance outside. So again, if you're interested in any of those opportunities, I think we have one not real close, but coming up at Mountain View Champions Park is a nearby option. And so those will be on our webpage as well if you're interested in our volunteer opportunities. So it's a lot of information. Are there any questions or maybe concerns or thoughts you all would like to share with me?
Really good information. Thank you.
Of course.
Is there a written report that you're reading from that you could share with us so we can promote these items for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, we get some news and then I take that and I kind of look in your neighborhood locally to see if there's anything even more specific that you might be interested in. I kind of come up with my own little report. So I'll be happy to send that to you all.
Yeah, if you want to send that to, actually Annie needs to get a hold of it.
Okay, great. What would and I can find her contact on the webpage, correct?
You can email me and I'll send it to her.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Parks? Going once? Sold. Thank you very much for joining us.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Adam.
All right. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Okay. Next, we have on the agenda that the police are not with us, so we're going to skip them. We have a senior memory care facility that is going to be developed in our neighborhood, and an application is either in process or about to be done. And we have the owners and architects with us. So I don't know who I'm turning it over to, but I would like to invite you to, if it's Todd or Jerry or Nancy.
Todd will take lead there for us.
Okay. And you are welcome to screen share if you have something you would like to show us.
Yes, I do.
So go ahead and take it away.
Okay. I'll explain the project to you. And okay. This is at the intersection of Southwest Hart and Trillium Court. And we're looking at these 5 tax lots. This one's vacant. This one has an existing home facing Hart.
I don't see any screen sharing going on, Todd.
Oh, I have it up.
We're seeing your face, I think. At least I am.
Okay.
Are you describing the empty lot that's next to the current facility?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I clicked on the screen
It's,
share here.
Yeah, I mean, Miles, can you make him a co-host?
Okay, how's that?
Todd has started. There
There
we
we go. Yep, now I can see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll start over again. This is the existing Hearthstone of Beaverton property right now with the assisted living center. And what we're looking to do is create a memory care facility, which will be separate from this facility. This is the vacant lot that I was referencing earlier. This is a house that's currently facing Hart Road. And then we've got these 4 houses here that are on Trillium Court. This one here was not surveyed, so the house is not showing up. So we're consolidating those 6 lots to develop this memory care facility. And this is the planned facility. We'll have parking area, which will be accessed from the current Hearthstone parking lot. And we'll have a community building here. We have a 21 unit building, which is actually designed as 2 separate buildings for different living areas. And then an 18 unit building here. And then we'll have a chapel and service facilities back here for garbage and employee parking off Trillium Court. And these are some elevations of what the community building will look like. This is the elevation that would be facing Hart Road. This would be the elevation facing the existing Hearthstone parking lot area. And floor plan, we'd have entry, reception, administrative offices here, and then we'll have a community room, the kitchen facility, which will be adequate for the entire facility here and also be sharing some uses with the Hearthstone of Beaverton facility next door. And then we'll have a general store, salon, little post office and bank area for the tenants. And then upstairs, we'll have some additional administrative offices. This is the building one, which is the 18-unit building. And we're trying to create a village feel for this. It'll have a village concept with walking paths throughout, and we're trying to encourage the tenants to interact and have a safe place that they can wander without getting lost or creating a nuisance. Then that's that floor plan of the building. We've got kind of standard rooms, but we have a kitchen area, living area, which is kind of similar to what you'd see in a single family home. That's the whole concept, is to make this very homey and not institutional like most memory care facilities currently are. And then this is the elevation of the larger building. It's split in half because it's large and it's also at a skewed angle. But this would be the courtyard side that's rendered here. Again, lots of different materials and creating a lot of interest in the facilities, what we're trying to do. And that's kind of an overview of the project, and we'd like your input and hopefully support for this, because we are going to be seeking a conditional use application shortly. I really appreciate you getting us on the agenda so quickly. We really didn't expect that.
If anybody would like to address the developers, feel free to unmute yourself and try to start speaking. If you do not wish to speak, you may type a question in Q&A and I will read it, or you can type a question in the chat box.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Will you have day patients there, or are these just permanent residents?
These will be permanent residents.
And your community room, what is that? Is that just a common room for the residents?
It's a common room for the residents and also for special events. They have, Christmas parties and things like that, with family members coming as well.
I have a question. What percentage of the trees on site are being proposed to be destroyed?
I'm not sure if we have a complete inventory of the trees at this point. We will be yeah, we have a few trees in here, which most likely, we have not gotten into that yet, but most likely they will be removed and replaced with replacement trees. We want to do a really nice job on the landscaping here. That's intent, and we want it to mature quickly, so we will be planting fairly large trees.
There are some significant trees on site, some of which potentially date back to as early as 1953, when the house at 12570 was built. There are some really tall trees such as Douglas firs, cedars, other deciduous trees, birch. These look like they're all going to be destroyed, and that is unacceptable. The developer must make an effort and succeed, not just make an effort, to preserve trees meaningfully and integrate them into the new development for the sake of the neighborhood, its history, its ecological values, and for the sake of the residents, who of course will benefit from having already mature trees on the landscape. We can't allow the desire for profit to get in the way of doing what's right for our neighborhood's natural heritage and for what the existing residents around would want to see. We can't create a development that will just obliterate an entire block. We must preserve these trees, the most significant ones at the very least, particularly the coniferous trees and any other large trees that are found to be present in the site as a result of a tree inventory.
I think we can work to do what we can. We, unfortunately, as part of this facility, we need to make sure everything's accessible. And the grading's gonna be kind of tricky. There is a lot of slope on the site. We will do what we can and see if we can preserve at least the most significant trees here.
That would be great, but we need to have more of a reassurance before we as a neighborhood can wholly support this, at least myself. But I know that if the whole site gets demolished and regraded, including all of the trees, the significant trees, then that is not what people in the neighborhood would want to see based on what people have voiced concerns over in the past collectively.
Well, it does look like most of the trees are kind of in our courtyard area, so they would be desirable to save them if we can. So I think we'll give that more consideration. I appreciate the comment.
Can you tell us what kind of fencing would be there to guard against the residents walking into the street? I mean, what kind of patients are we expecting? Like just Alzheimer's, but don't walk into the street? This seems like a little bit of a dangerous spot, being right on Hart Road for elderly patients. What can tell us about the safety precautions?
Well, we're using the buildings more or less to create a courtyard enclosure. It's kind of hard to see on this drawing, but this area along here and along here, and then back here and here, these will all be fenced. This will be the community garden area, and it will be all unfenced part of this. And we're looking at some kind of, not just a standard good neighbor type fence, but probably something with some masonry piers or something that'll be more attractive and keep with the architecture of the buildings.
So it would be considered a secure memory care. So the whole community would be secure within itself. So there would be no safety concerns for the residents to go out onto Hart Road.
That is correct. And that's of utmost concern.
Yeah.
So there's like a security system, or they can't leave?
Yeah, so it's it'll follow, the state guidelines where they can't leave the community, it's pretty much we're fencing in the 2.5 acres. So it's either going to be fenced in by a building or a fence. And there'll be a couple exit points from the fence for fire life protection services if there was a fire. But other than that, it would be secured. And the only way in would be a passcode or through the front lobby and the entrance into the community space.
And the residents are all wearing fogs too, so they can be tracked, and it's a very secure facility.
Can you tell us about this parking situation? It looks like there's 7, 8 places in the back. Is that the entirety of the employee parking situation?
Well, we also have the parking up front off Hart Road that would use the existing Hearthstone and Beaverton access here. And this is going to be for visitors primarily, and then the staff will be at the backside of the site. None of these residents are going to be driving. So we're going to have 39 units, but we really don't have that many automobiles.
And do you have an estimate of how many staff you'll be having at this facility?
Nancy, can you address that?
Yeah, so we're sharing a lot of the same stuff that our current facility already has. And then we'll be adding the caregivers and the med techs. So it would depend on time of day, how many people are at the community.
So it would be about 10.
Yeah.
About what, how many?
About 10 staff members.
And is that 10 total at one time, or just 10?
Yes.
Do we have any other questions from the community? I see nobody's typed a question yet. That is still available, or the chat box.
Have you secured the right to purchase the homes that you are looking to? It sounds as though, if I'm understanding you right, you're going to be purchasing these homes and then raising them to then build these new buildings. Can you kind of share where you are in that process and what that discussion with those homeowners has been?
We've purchased almost all of the homes except for one, and then the other one we're in discussions right now with them. So we actually own almost all of them already, except for one.
The homes that are torn down, will the materials be sent for reuse? And sometimes the lumber and doors and that kind of thing can be reused. Is there a plan to at least recover some of the materials in the homes instead of just all garbage?
Well, we will do that to the extent we can. We haven't gotten that far with the project at this point.
Can I ask what the setback is from the other property owners? Property lines?
Well, this dash line right here is a 30-foot setback.
Oh, that's nice.
So we're at least 30 feet. This is 2.5 acres, so it's a little deceiving.
I want to voice a concern, but also a suggestion to mitigate the problem. So I see that the fire lane proposed at the very south border goes right up to the property line. However, there are some very significant trees that consist of a grove that straddle that property line. If you look at an aerial photo, you're probably familiar with them. They're in the lot that is yet to be purchased, the south lot on Trillium. So it's not okay to build that fire lane right on the property line when that's going to significantly impact the root zones of those trees. What we're seeing in Beaverton is developers building right up to the property line and not wanting to put in root zones for neighboring trees so they get the neighbors to cut them down. I'm not trying to give any ideas, but this is a major issue that I wanted to state for the record. And this is also on display at the First and Lombard apartments. So what I'd like to propose is evaluating the plan on screen is to move the chapel over into the space where the community garden is, if possible, or integrate that into one of the buildings with an existing room, then move the fire lane and parking further north to provide an appropriate setback for the root zones of those groves, allowing them to mature. And I'm sure the neighbors along Escalon Place to the south will greatly appreciate the added setback. And this also benefits the developer in a way because this allows additional space to plant required landscaping associated with new developments. So I think it's going to be really important if this goes through to move the fire lane and parking area further north to provide an appropriate setback for the mature tree grove root zone. And I think for guidance on this, you would want to consult with the city's lead arborist, Jared Lane. And I think there's space in the community garden for the chapel, or it can be integrated into the building.
Can you tell us about how long construction will take after you answer Reggie's question?
Well, I think we can look at moving that fire lane once we get that property surveyed. That property has not been surveyed, and we will need to locate the trees. And I think we can adjust that. We have room to do that on the site. I don't know that we want to move it to the community garden space, but I think maybe moving it 10 or 15 feet would allow that. Construction will probably take, I'm anticipating a year right now. We're trying to get it so construction can possibly start next summer or fall. We know we're going to have a land use process to go through with the city.
One last suggestion pertinent to preserving the root zones of existing trees. There's a really nice line of trees that you mostly planted. There's one that might be naturally occurring right on the boundary between the existing senior living facility and the vacant lot, the long, deep 12550. I think that's going to be critical to integrate into the new development and protect all of those roots if this goes through.
I think most of those can be protected. We'll look at that in more detail as we develop this a little farther.
Do you have bioswales for the parking lot water and the roof water that you're going to put into the site? Or are you going to rely on kind of a classical clean water services type drainage?
I'll defer that to Evan.
Yeah. So this site is going to be required to meet all of, City of Beaverton stormwater requirements, which is also clean water services requirements. Due to the fact that it's a memory care facility, standing water on the site is a safety risk. And so most likely all the stormwater treatment and detention will occur below grade. And there'll just be a series of area drains and catch basins around the site to collect surface runoff, and then roof drains to collect the building runoff.
In one of the other pictures you showed a fire lane. Is that the only place for ambulances and fire trucks to go to service the 3 new buildings?
Well, we also have access that's adequate in Trillium Court, and then we have an existing fire lane that's on the Hearthstone and Beaverton property. And those 3 combined, along with access along Hart Road, provide adequate coverage for fire.
Okay, so somebody who has a medical emergency in building 2A, an ambulance can get right next to that building and get them out. Is that here in these lines?
Well, they won't be accessed directly. They won't be coming into the site, into the courtyard area, which is going to be landscaped. But they can get close enough to serve all the buildings in a timely manner.
You go in through the front parking lot, through the community building, if it was like a 911 ambulance call.
Any other questions? Nobody has typed anything in Q&A, but
I just wanted to say I am very happy for the expansion of this property and serving our elders, and that it's a needed service in our area, and there's a lot of really good design to this property. It looks like for your different levels of residents. So we'll be interested in knowing more as you progress.
Yeah, and I'd like to second what Konnettee says. I think the facility looks beautiful, and what a nice jewel to have in our neighborhood. I understand the landscaping, the architecture will be probably very, very well done, and most of all, such a need for dementia care, for memory care. And so I commend you for going through the expense and the trials and tribulations of expanding your facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And we're pretty excited about the whole concept. If many times you see the things in Netherlands and Japan where they have a village, and so this will be the village, and so they can, when they're having times when they are having a rough time with Alzheimer's or Lewy bodies, whatever they've got, then they can go to the store and purchase something. They can feel like life is normal. So that's our whole reason in putting it together the way we did.
Brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here. I appreciate your comments, and we will definitely work towards preserving the trees that we can here.
I just want to say that it would be great to kind of continue hearing updates as you go through the process. And it's helpful to kind of see this at such an initial stage. And especially just kind of as, Reggie kind of knows a lot about where the different trees are. And I think sometimes it can be, we're going to think about this, but as you're coming up with all the other plans and thinking about, you know, required setbacks and everything, that can sometimes get removed. And so it would be helpful to kind of hear, you know, as you think about that, you know, if you go back and do identify some property or some pieces of the property where you can say, yes, we can save these trees. I think the neighborhood would really appreciate that and kind of like to get periodic updates.
When we get this a little further along and have a landscape plan together, we'd like to come back to you. That would be great.
Thank you.
Well, we're available. You just have to ask. And it's nice to hear from our commercial neighbors. I know we're mostly a developed neighborhood, but thank you for investing in the neighborhood.
All right. Well,
And
thank
with
you very much.
Let's wrap up. Jerry or Nancy, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, we're just excited about the new project, and thank you for your input. Appreciate that. We'll take that, and we'll I'm sure Todd will work all the different parts and pieces of this out, and we'll be hopefully we've got the pedal to the metal. We want to do it as fast as we can, so we're looking forward to seeing how this all works.
Well, as you all know, it's a huge needed thing for us. So we have another memory care at the other building, and it's full most of the time. And we want to provide care for more people.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Can I
thank you.
get their last names for the minutes?
Yeah, my name is Jerry Friesen, Friesen.
My name is Todd Iselin. That's Iselin.
And I'm Nancy Friesen, Friesen, and Katie Gaffney, Gaffney.
Katie, what was that?
Gaffney, Gaffney.
And then it was Evan Eichelbosch. That's EYKELBOSCH.
EYK
Yes.
L
EL. Yeah.
EL.
EYKELBOSCH.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Our next agenda item
Great,
is.
thank you, guys.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is actually officer selection. There was an error in the October meeting minutes where it mentioned the officers were selected, and that's not actually what happened. We just voted for board members. So we actually need to select officers for the forward-looking year in this meeting. And I had sent the correction to Konnettee. We haven't passed the minutes from October yet. But we have a chair, vice chair, treasurer, recorder. What else? Is that it?
Adam, I checked the minutes, and the minutes did reflect that last month we elected board members, and this month we're electing.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw in there that it said that we.
Well, whenever, yeah, I'm always happy to take any corrections, so thanks.
Okay. It led me to believe that they were already selected, and that's not what we did.
The other position oftentimes in that is BCCI rep.
Correct. Thank you.
And I am doing that, right?
Would you like to nominate yourself for BCCI rep?
Oh, I see, for next year. It seems like I just got there. Oh, and now I'm. Here you go.
Jeff has told me that he would like to not have to be treasurer anymore after his many years of service. So that position is also available.
Yeah, and I'll add, thank you for mentioning that, Adam. I've served on, as I mentioned in my intro, I've served with the NAC in various positions from chairman for several years all the way on down, and have been treasurer, I think, for the last 5, 6, 7 years or so. I think our bylaws actually stipulate someone's not supposed to be treasurer any longer than 2 years, because we're handling money and so forth. But obviously I'm a very trustworthy person, so you've allowed me to serve longer. But we just switched bank accounts. Everything's real, I've got everything very, very organized. There's not a whole lot that can be done. I mean, the only reason there's 2 reasons why I'd like to, allow someone else to take over the position. One is I have done it for a very long time, and really we do need someone else doing it now. The other reason is just my time constraints. I'm missing a lot of meetings. I want to remain on the board and remain as active as I can. But I am missing a lot of meetings because of my work schedule, and I'm out of town a lot. It's just been really, really difficult, and I feel bad. It's pretty turnkey. If someone steps up to it, honestly, you got yourself about half an hour's worth of work a month. And that's about it. And it's just someone that's going to be, involved and really kind of know what's going on a month-to-month basis, so that when there are projects going on, when funds do need to be allocated and dispersed, you kind of are in the know of what's going on. And that's where I feel like I'm lacking, because I am missing meetings. I don't know always what funds are approved to do certain things. And so, happy to sit down with whoever might want to step up and spend just a few minutes and kind of get you rolling on it. It's pretty darn easy. It just takes showing up to the meetings. And like I said, seriously, a half an hour a month. Thank you, Adam.
Okay. Thank you for all your service. I'm just going to share a little list of positions. The floor is open for nominations for any position. People can self-nominate, and I will add them to the list. Are there any nominations for any positions? Okay, I would like to nominate myself for chair.
Well, I was gonna quickly dive in and say I nominate Adam to continue on as chair. Thank you.
And this can be competitive, so if anybody else is interested in being chair, we can have a choice. Any other nominations for any position listed? Oh, we don't want officers, huh? All right.
I'll nominate myself for vice chair again.
And I'll nominate myself for recorder.
You want recorder, not BCCI?
Well, both of them, I guess. If somebody was interested in one of those, that would be fine. But
Okay.
if it's okay to do both, I would.
I mean, I'd let you do both, but I think if we had to pick one in terms of importance, BCCI might be more important than recorder if you only had time for one.
No, I think I have time. I'll be stepping down from something else next year, so that's okay.
Annie, are you interested in anything?
That's what I'm trying to think, because my work schedule can be a little bit, and I'm trying to decide whether I feel like I could take on the treasurer role. But if it is really only about half an hour's worth of work, a month, I think that would be okay. So I guess I can nominate myself to be treasurer.
Yeah, and Annie, I would show you how easy it is. It is easy, and truly, I'm not underestimating. A half an hour would probably be totally ample per month. That and basically just being in the know on the meetings. Like,
Okay. I mean, I've kind of set this aside this time, so I'm at most of our meetings, so that should be.
So right there, you have a leg up on me. The rest of it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, and the chair is also a signer, although I've just kept my hands off all of the money because Jeff has been very capable of handling it. I haven't touched a dime, but that is available to you, Annie. I can write checks too. I just have never done it.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
Can I ask, Annie has done a lot of work as a media communications person. Should we make that, or could we make that a position so that persons doing that work are recognized?
Well, we recognize Annie every time.
I know.
And the thing is, I think we'd have to revise the bylaws.
Yeah,
We would.
That wouldn't be an officer position. That would be a committee chair situation under our bylaws.
Oh, a committee chair. Okay, thanks. Good.
Well, at least you get the, chair. You're a chairperson, so there you go. You got that
That works.
So what do we want to do about BCCI rep? Konnettee, are you interested in doing both? I know you're retired and you're interested, but do you want to?
I found that interesting, the meetings I've gone to, and I'm not, they have a leadership in place, so I'm just a board member there, so I'm fine with that.
All right, I'll nominate you for BCCI. Any other nominations for any other positions?
Well, I would nominate Reggie for vice chair, if that's.
Oh, he's on the list.
Okay.
Are you getting a screen share?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. And Reggie, you can change it up what you do too, if you like.
Yeah, I would love to take on more in the future. I do plan on being involved with the NAC in the long term. Right now, I'm really project oriented and I work full time, so I'm not really at a point where I'm able to take on a lot more. So I really do appreciate everybody who has volunteered or nominated someone or themselves.
Okay. If there's no other nominations, the chair will entertain a motion to select these officers by acclamation from any board member. That's a cue to make a motion since I can't.
Adam, I'll step up and I'd like to make a motion that we vote for our new slate of officers, Adam for chair, Reggie for vice chair, Annie for treasurer, Konnettee as recorder, and Konnettee also as BCCI rep. That's my motion.
Is there a second? Oh, Konnettee seconds. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, board members, please either raise your hand or say aye.
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 Judgment of the chair is that it carries. Okay, thank you everyone. That went fairly fast.
Before we move away, Jeff, you have done such a terrific job and your dedication, both in your position and at all the events that you've attended. You've just been terrific, and thank you for your service.
Well, Konnettee, thank you very much. And, I'm not going anywhere.
I know.
Well, I do intend on being just as involved as I possibly can. Like I said, I've over 2 decades, I've been involved with this NAC and very deeply involved. And just my time constraints as of late for the last, I'll say 2-3 years have been just difficult for me. But I will say I have to commend everybody involved because Miles is probably, he's there and he knows what we went through. I'm going to say, probably 4 or 5 years ago, Miles, you recall, we were down to, 2, 3 people coming to these meetings. I remember 20 years ago when I started getting involved, we had no less than 20 or 25 people at these meetings, and strong. And we've had people come and go mainly because they, move out of the neighborhood or they've, aged out. And, there's been sort of a change in tide, and not sure what's caused that, but just general participation by the public into these kinds of meetings has been very difficult. And we've had a few people along the way that have been extremely instrumental with, pulling our group together. Some people that aren't even involved in our group right now are very instrumental in having our group where it's at right now. So, we're the benefactors of that hard work. And, Miles is a cornerstone to all this. So thank you, Miles. And so it's been my pleasure to be involved. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I just need to not be treasurer anymore, just for the NAC's own, general reasoning. I just shouldn't be anymore. So Annie, I'm grateful that you're stepping up. I promise you what I said, there's no lies there. It's very, very simple. There's literally, Adam at some point had me do the treasurer's report, and she'll just see just how arduous all this is. Okay. Thank you.
Also, I know where Jeff lives, so.
Yeah, that's right. You've got my address, so let me find. Thank you.
Okay, one more thing related to officer elections. We need to update signers. So the chair will entertain a motion to authorize the update of signers to the chair and the new treasurer. Is there somebody who would like to make that motion?
I would like to make a motion that we update our, is it a bylaw or is it a?
Signers.
Update our policy related to signers to include the chair and the treasurer.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'd like to second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye, board members.
Aye.
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 The judgment of the chair, the ayes have it. We'll get that done. Reggie and Annie, could we move on to the Wilson tree planting project?
Yeah. So Annie and I have been hard at work getting the word out about the tree planting. Annie's been doing social media posting on Facebook. Just to recap for everyone who is with us tonight or is tuning in later, this tree planting is going to be for the Wilson Park subdivision this Sunday, November 15th from 1 to 4 p.m. And folks will meet at the corner of 20th and Wilson, where we'll have our canopy and all the other tools staged. There are 25 adults registered to volunteer right now, although some may no-show. So if you were kind of on the fence, we can still accept registrations, but if you're like maybe not feeling it, then it's totally fine. I think we're going to be good with this. We wanted to keep it around 25 to be in line with state guidelines on outdoor gatherings. So that's actually a good segue. This event has been changed a lot due to the pandemic. So I'm posting in the chat the safety plan that we submitted and got approved by the city for the event. It's tinyurl.com/COVID safety plan, all one word. So we're expecting it to be a successful event. 31 trees were ordered, which is awesome. 18 of those will be street trees, so they'll become publicly owned and provide a lot of public benefits. 13 of those are in the yard, so larger trees or small trees where only a small tree can be planted because of overhead high voltage wires, which one of the few areas in our neighborhood with overhead high voltage wires for the houses. So far, 67 volunteer hours have been contributed between multiple people. This is all organizing the event. So we'll break all of this down in the matching grant reimbursement. So we'll provide an update later. We're also falling within our budget so far. We had about like $3,000 earmarked and approved through our matching grant, and we're gonna probably be under budget, which is great, even though we had more trees ordered than we were shooting for, which is also great. So I'm posting the link to register as a volunteer for the planting, and also has more information and contact info. It's surveymonkey.com/r/YKVJVZY. So yeah, we're gonna be probably wrapping up the final details, Monday morning. Annie and I are hard at work preparing. We're gonna go out, Annie's gonna go out and do some shopping. The trees are being purchased and delivered tomorrow, and we're gonna start moving them to their houses just to kind of save some time. And if anybody has a truck, please feel free to reach out to me via message or email. We could definitely use your support if you're willing to donate the use of your truck to help transport trees. Otherwise, we'll just rent one or move them by hand or with a cart. So that's kind of what we've got in a nutshell, trying to keep it brief. Annie, am I missing anything or anything you would like to add?
No, I think it should be a really good event, on a smaller scale, but it's nice that this has become kind of an annual tradition for the neighborhood. And yeah, it should be good, just kind of nice to be able to get outside and connect with neighbors, but in a really good socially distanced way. And the other piece is that, thanks, Miles, we did just get confirmation that we're still good to go, even with the Portland Metro pause going on right now. So,
Reggie, you had asked a financial question about getting a check for paying the vendor. Did you work that out?
Yeah, I worked that out with Jeff. So I'll be coming by his office tomorrow to pick that up. It's relating to how the nursery only accepts certain types of payment. I also wanted to just take an opportunity, like Annie was saying, to thank all of the project partners who have been involved so far. City of Beaverton, Miles with the neighborhood folks, he's been really great. Appreciate the quick turnaround on getting that postcard out to the whole neighborhood with all 3 of our upcoming events. That was incredible. That hit the mailboxes just around the right time, and that definitely contributed to this most recent successful event. And people definitely were indicating that was where they heard about it, as far as registering for the planting event as a volunteer. And then also City of Beaverton Public Works, so Landscaping and Urban Forestry Department, they're going to be sending out 1 or 2 of their staff on during the planting event to provide extra tools and mulch trees and just kind of, participate in general. And then I'll be recognizing all the other project partners afterwards. We'll have a thank you card that everyone can sign, and we'll get that sent off. It might be a digital card too. So that's all.
Okay. Let's move on to the shredding event. Konnettee, do you want to share how that went?
Yeah, so we had cars lining up down the block from the very start of the event, which was just terrific. And we were able to get them all registered and ready to go. So there really wasn't a bottleneck to the event. We had 76 participants and 7 volunteers, which I thought was terrific. 20 bins of paper were recycled. We came within $6 of our budget. I'm still working on the volunteer hours, and the comments were mainly that people were very happy for the event. A lot of shredding events have been canceled, and people are having to go far out of the community to attend one. Let's see. We also didn't get rained on, which was terrific. The church was great, and the venue, the parking lot itself actually was perfect. Miles came up with the best outline of the event, and let's see, there wasn't too many things that I think that we would do too differently. We could have made a better arrangement with the church about the restrooms, but other than that, I think it went well. The 7 people did just fine with managing the event. So, and Bernice, if you're out there, thank you so much for
Annette, your
food donations.
audio broke up really badly, and I think we lost the last several sentences.
Well, can you hear me? Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just said the last bit was about the food donations. We took food donations to 2 different food banks, and the church really, I appreciated all of the things that we were able to bring for them, and it was a nice event, good to be outside. I felt very safe as far as our COVID plan was concerned. Any comments from any of the people that attended? No?
Can you hear me? This is Bernice.
Yeah, Bernice.
Hi, Bernice.
Oh, hi. I wanted to say a couple things. I took 144 pounds of food to the Tualatin Valley Gleaners, and they were very appreciative of receiving the food because a lot of food drives have been canceled due to COVID. So this was they were very happy. And then I wanted to thank Annie for her using her initiative to thank our neighbors for their generous donations. I had emailed her in the afternoon and asked whether she could send out an email saying to thank everybody, but she had already done that. So I really appreciated that. So, and then, yeah, I heard a lot of good comments. Myself, I called Shred Northwest and told them we appreciated their driver and being on time and his helpfulness. And so I was happy. I'm glad we didn't fill the truck and tell people that they couldn't come, but it would have been nice to have a few more.
Yeah, maybe next time we can do a 2 neighborhood event with this. We filled up, Bernice, it was about 1/3 of the, I believe.
Oh, was it? Okay.
And Bernice also took in $40 in donations. Is that right?
Actually, it was 80 because
80?
Annie, Annie came. Some lady gave Annie
85
40
total.
Yeah, and then there was another 5. So yeah, so it was actually 80. So that was very nice too.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I don't know Jeff, but thank you, Jeff, for all your hard work for the neighborhood over all these 20 years and being treasurer.
So Jeff,
Welcome.
Bernice needs reimbursement. I have emailed her receipts to you, and I think one of my receipts didn't go through, and I'll have to redo it. But
When did you email those?
today.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if I received them or not for today.
Now that Annie is our treasurer, why don't we make this a first order of business for Annie?
That sounds good. I can do that. As long as Jeff walks me through it.
Yeah, Annie sent me her contact info, and I'm texting you right now, Annie, as we speak, to set up something for next week for the 2 of us to get together briefly, just so I can kind of just turn everything over, show you what you got. And then I'm not sure at Oregonians if Adam, you and I both need to be there in order to add Annie. Do you recall if they needed both of us to be there to add?
They need minutes in both of us.
Yeah. Okay. So once the minutes are produced, then we'll coordinate Adam and Annie and myself to meet at Oregonians to add her as a signer and go from there. But in the meantime, Annie, me and you will get together for just a few minutes. It'll only take 2 or 3 hours. So.
And Jeff, have we closed or have we zeroed out the U.S. bank account so that it's just dormant?
If I'm recalling, there's like $3.47 or something like that in there. So I haven't actually closed the account. I don't even know if I can close the account.
But if we write a check to zero it, it should auto close.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how that works, but I know there's like literally $3-4 in there right now. So I was just letting her ride.
Well, they closed one of my accounts when there was $0 in it for 3 months.
Okay, well then maybe that'll be a responsibility of Annie. So it'll take an extra 10 minutes next month.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, it would be nice to wrap up that U.S. bank account so Annie doesn't ever have to deal with it. Okay.
And I have one final comment to thank Konnettee for volunteering to help me do this event. So I appreciate all her expertise.
You're a great partner in crime there, Bernice.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to add as well, I was one of the volunteers at the event, and it was really nice to be able to see different neighbors and different demographics than what we see at some of the other events. We had a lot of our older community there who had a bunch of documents that they've kind of collected through their lives that they've been kind of holding on to and now are trying to get rid of. And we've also had residents that came and said, they've been dealing with family members' estates, and just being able to have a place that they could locally drop off sensitive info and know that it was being taken care of was like a huge stress relief. So it was a really well-served event in terms of, serving a need in our community that hits people that don't necessarily always come to these meetings. And then also to anyone who's listening, this event just came because someone in the neighborhood had this idea and said, I need a shredder. What if we had this for the whole neighborhood? And so just as a kind of an encouragement too, that these events come from neighbors and saying, hey, this would be great for our community.
And then one other thing, it was most predominantly our community. Since I didn't see the intake of the information like you did, Annie, it was people just from our neighborhood. Is that correct?
In looking at, I have the sign-ins, and looking at the addresses we were given, it looked like to me there was one person from Beaverton South and other than that, everybody was from our neighborhood.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have the Fir Grove Woods East naming project, which there's been a development. Reggie, can you share what's going on with this?
Yeah. So last January, backtracking to 2019. We approved kind of looking at recognizing and uplifting the Indigenous history of our neighborhood, and this opportunity to find a permanent name for the Fir Grove East Woods property coincided with this push. So we voted on and approved looking at pursuing an Indigenous name for this new park. The park is 2.5 acres. It was purchased in 2013 through the 2008 THPRD bond, and it's been heavily restored since. And right now, it's the restorations are kind of maturing, but there's still a lot of potential for neighborhood involvement. In fact, historically, since it was purchased, the NAC has been involved with THPRD, having work parties there. I was in contact with David Harrelson, who is with the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, and he has basically given the go-ahead for us to start looking at names, and then we would need to submit preferences to the park district, and then they would work government to government on determining a name at that point. So the ball is kind of in our court right now and has been for the last few months. We've been very busy with events, and of course the pandemic really threw a wrench in everyone's plans. So I've been trying to get this on the agenda for a while, so now this is a good time, I think. David mentioned in his email in January of this year, when we were last in touch, about a list of names that have already been proposed by him for other THPRD properties in the past. And he mentioned that this list was held on to by the district to use for future parks. So I'm going to paste the link in the document. It's thprd.org/pdfs2/document3660.pdf. And on page 91 of 136, you'll find the minutes from the naming committee. So this whole document is minutes from the THPRD board meeting dated like April 2017. On page 91, you'll find the list of all the names that the naming committee for the Southwest Quadrant Community Park, which ultimately became Mountain View Champions Park, you'll find the list of all the names that the naming committee came up with, and they ultimately decided on Mountain View Champions, but this is the list, from my understanding, that David established to, well, the indigenous names on there are the ones that he has contributed to inform the naming process. So having a park named after something to kind of preserve the Native American heritage of the area is in line with THPRD's naming policy, which you can find online. So that sounds promising. So I'm just gonna open that email and just kind of, I'm gonna paste the list of the names that he compiled in the chat, and in the parentheses are kind of descriptions of each word that I added or that were already there by him through his words. Looks like it cut off, so I'm gonna post a second chat. So this is kind of a lot of text here, but I just wanted to make sure that all this was accessible to everyone. So I added the word woods as a suffix, which is in line with the THPRD park naming standard. This is just a natural area. So the names are Otfalati Woods, Camas Woods, Chakapi Woods, Docta Woods, Kalapuya Woods, Kanoyer Woods, Kayakoots Woods, Konnettee Woods, La Medicine Woods, Sapalil Woods, Wapato Woods, and Wapiti Woods. So I want to just take a minute to go over those. Feel free to peruse these at your leisure, because I want to have a good discussion on these, and these can also be included in the minutes too, or whatever. So Otfalati Woods, named after the Otfalati people, who are the indigenous band of the Kalapuya here in the Tualatin Valley. Tualatin comes from the word Otfalati. There's already an Otfalati Park in Tualatin, but there are various spellings of it, because Otfalati is just a anglicization of the word, which is very complicated to pronounce if your native language is not from the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, the sounds diverged a lot over thousands of years linguistically. Camas Woods, named after the plant. Chakapi Woods. Chakapi is the historical indigenous village where downtown Beaverton currently is. It means place of the beaver. there are beavers present adjacent to the site, I believe, based on the knot trees that are around the stormwater retention ponds to the north. The Docta Woods, Chinook Wawa, so that's like the lingua franca of the indigenous communities from the Northwest, which means doctor. Kalapuya Woods, name of the Willamette and Tualatin Valley indigenous people. Knoyer Woods. Louis Knoyer was a very influential Atfalati person, and he was the last living speaker of their language. And he did a lot of work with anthropologists and linguists, recording the language of the Atfalati. Kayakoots. So Chief Kayakoots was a chief in the valley. Konnettee was a signer of a tree on behalf of the Atfalati, as well as La Medicine. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm not sure. Then Sapolil Chinook Wawa for tarweed. Not sure if that is historically present in the area, but you know, the whole area of downtown Beaverton was historically oak savanna, with the exception of the wetlands. So maybe it did grow here. Wapato Woods, it's a significant food for the people here. You know, I don't think it's found on site because the park is mostly upland forest, but maybe it could be planted in the stormwater retention facilities eventually. And then Wapiti Woods is just the word for elk, and elk used to be common here as recently as 20 years ago in the valley. So thanks for the time allowing me to go over this. I also had 3 additional names that I wanted to put forth, which were from a document that I found by Henry B. Zank of Portland State University. It's his master thesis from 1976 entitled Contributions to Tualatin Ethnography, Subsistence and Ethnobiology. So I'm going to paste that here. On page 79 in that document, it talks about, or it lists the Atfalati word for various trees. This is a really invaluable resource for documentation of the Atfalati language. So some additional suggestions that I wanted to put forth are based on trees that are historically present in the area or currently present on site, just really large form, high charismatic trees that are integral to Beaverton's natural heritage. So I've posted them here. For Douglas fir, the word is ha-ntwal, and for oak, it's ameth, and for ponderosa pine, it's a-mkulk. So I'm trying to pronounce these. Obviously, it's difficult, but we still wanted to have the language form of the word so that people would be forced to pronounce it. So the apostrophes, I believe, are glottal stops. So this is taken from that master's thesis, based on what Louis Knoyer actually provided to these researchers. So I want to, at this point, open up the floor to conversation about what we should kind of look at on a macro scale for naming, meaning like, do we want to look at a plant, an animal, a place, a historic person, a concept? On all of these would be relating to the Atfalati people here in the Tualatin Valley. So I'm really curious to hear everyone's thoughts, and this doesn't have to be the only discussion of this that we have, but just want to start to hear what people are thinking.
Reggie, whichever word that we choose, it would be nice to have a plaque that explained the meaning of the name of the park at the wood.
I think that's a great idea.
Reggie, I have a favorite that I
Yeah.
put in the chat. And I actually was thinking, since this is a path, that rather than calling it woods, we could call it a walk. And I know that doesn't quite line up with THPRD's thing. But the nice thing about the one that I think is maybe best is I don't think that too many other communities would duplicate it, so it would be a little bit unique, and that's my thoughts on that.
Is that Chakepe? Chakepe? I'm not
I
saying
think
it.
so. It would be really hard for native English speakers to pronounce these words correctly, especially because this is an extinct language, sadly. But I think we would definitely want to have some sort of pronunciation guide. We
Or
can
we
look
just
to,
do it phonetically.
yeah, phonetically would work. Also, I know that City of Portland recently has opened a new park in the Coley neighborhood that has an indigenous name, and it contains like non-standard English characters. There's still Latin characters, but it's like it's slightly different. I can't recall quite what this is, but it's just an example where it's successfully been done in our region. Definitely make sure that people have guidance on how to pronounce it while still being true to the phonetic translations of the language.
You know, maybe what we could do is turn your list into a social media post and then share it that we're going to make a decision in a future month, maybe next month, maybe January, in this meeting, and we can maybe drum up some input from some folks, and then make the ask of the park district.
That would be awesome. I just want to clarify, we're not like, as a NAC, we're not voting to approve the name. We're just voting to approve recommendations of like one name if it's kind of a unanimous consensus, or if there's like a strong preference towards one, or just like a couple. And then they will work THPRD to Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, government to government, on finalizing a name.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because I think that would be nice. Not everyone gets a chance to come to these meetings, but I think that there would be a lot of neighborhood interest in this. And so I can definitely work on that. I think that having kind of 2 months for people to think about it, especially knowing we're getting into the holiday season, I'm afraid that if we say that we're going to make a decision next month, it might be too soon, unless we just want to have neighborhood input over the next month and then just say we'll be presenting this information.
Yeah, I was also thinking that especially the people within 10-minute walking distance, that we might want to drop off pieces of paper and invite them to come to the meeting, email someone, pick from the list, and we could make a one-pager that could be dropped at some doors that are near this, and that'd be our way to drag some people into the NAC physically. But Reggie, is January an okay timeline for say we go through a process and have a couple meetings and then vote on it then?
Yeah, that sounds like the best plan. Maybe at the December meeting, we just have 5 minutes to continue our discussion and then allow anybody who wants to jump in an opportunity to give feedback.
Okay. We need to keep it moving because we are past our adjournment time already. So I would like to hand it over to Miles now for city updates.
Thanks, Adam. I'll keep it brief. November news. So the city is going to continue providing a combination of remote, virtual, and on-site services through December 31st in response to the continued fluctuations in COVID-19 cases. If there's a service that you can't get a hold of or you have any problems, please just email me directly and I'll work with you to get you to the right person. Otherwise, you can visit beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus. for the latest unavailable services, including housing, business, and community resources, building permits and applications, utility billing, and more. They are doing in-person visits for passports, and that's available by appointment, as well as some court and some library services with distancing and other safeguards in place. We're asking everyone to help limit the spread of the virus and practice statewide requirements such as to wear a face covering when in indoor public spaces and outdoors within 6 feet distance can't be maintained. Washing hands frequently, covering coughs, staying home when sick, knowing the symptoms, and getting a flu shot are also recommended. The library continues the BCL to go. It's where you request books, and when they're ready, you drive up and they place them in your car or place them on a table and you can take them home. If you go to beavertonlibrary.org/BCL2go, you can get the hours of operation. And I believe it's at both libraries now. And then the book drop-offs at both libraries are open. And they're quarantining the books for 72 hours before they're handled. There's a computer lab at the main library, Tuesdays 10 to 2 and Wednesdays 3 to 7. For anyone who doesn't have a computer at home but needs to access the internet. And the library is also offering wireless printing, so you can print through the website to the library from anywhere, and then go and pick up your pages when you're ready. And finally, there's utility bill assistance still available for qualified Washington County residents impacted by COVID-19. Beaverton residents can get easy help paying water, sewer, waste collection, and other utility balances back from March 1st through December 30th. So if you're way past overdue, you can get help all the way back to March. If you need assistance, please visit caowash.org. And then emergency rent assistance and housing assistance is still ongoing. We've spent nearly $700,000 through partner agencies, but there's another $300,000 remaining available. And that's under beavertonoregon.gov housing. And Konnettee, I will send this to you.
Okay, thank you.
Miles, if you can also send it to me, because those seem like really good things to push out through social media.
I will send both of you now, and that's all the updates I have. Are there any questions?
I just have one quick question on the utility assistance. Is there a cap that, like, once you guys get enough applications and you will you run out of money, or is that kind of an ongoing thing?
I believe it's ongoing, and it has to do with, there's always utility assistance available, even pre-COVID. But these fundings are through grants from the federal government. And I imagine, my best guess is that there'll be more coming.
Okay.
So if somebody needs the assistance, I would encourage them to apply. And these partner organizations, they work with churches, they work with private donors. They have other resources besides just the funding that the city and county can provide. So it's worth the time to fill out the application and talk to them.
Okay, thank you, Miles.
Gotcha.
We have board business and we didn't get on here meeting minute approvals. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve the October minutes if someone would like to make it.
I will make a motion to approve the October 2020 meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, board members, please say aye.
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 The judgment of the chair, the ayes have it. We are right at 8 o'clock. And I would like to suggest that we adjourn unless there is anything else pressing. Is there anything pressing anybody that they just have been waiting to say?
Yeah, feel free.
Well, okay, so we didn't do a treasurer's report.
Go ahead. Do you want to give it?
Well, yeah, okay, for Annie's benefit. So for October, we had an incoming balance of $2,555.30. During the month, we had 2 transactions, one at Beaverton Signs for $237, and then one at Beaverton Bimart for $12.36. The treasurer would like to receive receipts for these items, please. That leaves our closing balance at $2,305.94. And also, in addition to that, since the closing of October, well, I actually received the check in October, but it was deposited today. From the city of Beaverton, we received a reimbursement check of $456.18. So that will be added to the balance in the November report that Annie will give. Any questions of the treasurer?
Yeah, so 2 questions. What was the closing balance again for October?
Sure. I'm not wearing my glasses, so good luck here. $2,305.94.
And then were there any purchases since the end of October?
No, none that had, well, no.
Or
no,
anyone else can answer too.
Yeah, in the last 12 days, no, I didn't actually look at that. All I do know is there was a deposit for that $456.18 from the city of Beaverton.
I'm anticipating a large expenditure tomorrow as I pay for the trees and the wooden stakes. So I just wanted to see if that would work.
Well, yeah, because you're going to be picking up a check from me tomorrow, a signed check for that. What is the anticipated amount of that check? Do you have, what's the budget?
Let's see. So $720 for 18 of the trees, and then if we have 11 more, and that would be about $100 a tree on average. So I'm thinking like it might be
$1,800 is what that adds up to, and again we have 25 plus 4, so we got about $2,900 in the account.
Oh, okay.
Wait. No, we got, yeah, and again, maybe I should have looked at any transactions. See, I don't have control of the debit card, so I don't know if anybody made any debit purchases from November 1st through today. Those aren't reflected here.
I can tell you that what we had for the shredding event. So we had, let's see, $63.12 in 3 different purchases for snacks. And we had $800 for the Northwest Shred truck rental.
Okay.
And
There you go. That $800 took a big bite because when I made the deposit today, because again, I only reported through October 31st. I honestly did not look at any transactions from November 1st through today, other than knowing I made a deposit of that $456, and I have the deposit slip in my hand. So it is showing an available balance of $1,962.12. So that 800 plus the other little miscellaneous expenses took a bite out of our balance. So Reggie, we've got, just a little over $1,900, and what you stated adds up to be about $1,700. That's getting pretty nip and tuck with the balance on the account.
Yeah, it'll be close, and I'm glad I'm asking this now. I will not go over the amount that you stated. I think $1,962.12. Yeah. So I'll try to keep it well below that. I don't think that'll be a problem. But we should be getting more money coming in from, I believe, the matching grant reimbursement for the shredding event.
Yeah, but that's gonna probably take a month. So
Yeah, but
yeah, we're gonna be really skinny on our balance.
yeah. Fortunately, those are the only major expenses. And we've also been able to shed a lot of the proposed expenses for the tree planting event through Konnettee's previous purchases for the weeding event. So we'll be using a lot of supplies that we already have. So,
All right. Well, is everybody comfortable with us writing a balance of might end up be $200 in our account?
That sounds fine.
Okay. Well, whoever's holding the debit card,
I haven't.
stop it. Stop it. Stop the spending.
I don't have anything left to
Okay.
run on it.
Okay. All right.
So, and then Bernice needs to get reimbursed for her $63 worth of charges.
Okay. Well, we'll need that receipt, and then I can issue a check, or at that point, probably Annie will be able to.
Yeah, and let's get that debit card back to Annie.
Yeah.
When possible, and have Annie control the debit card.
As treasurer, it is uncomfortable that charges are taking place, and I'm not in the know. I mean, there's a lot of receipts I don't have for transactions over the last, say, month.
Well, we had approved for the 800 and the 237. I asked twice if it was okay to spend that money.
Right. Oh, I know. I know every expense was approved, but we need to really kind of be just watching that account balance. Okay.
absolutely. This is a rare occurrence where we have like 2 or 3 major events coming within like a couple of months, or just even 1 month. In this case, 8 days. So I think in the future, this won't really happen much.
Miles.
So all the money should be accounted for through the matching grant funds.
Sure.
Will eventually be reimbursed.
Has the paperwork been turned in on the shredding event to the city?
No, it hasn't. We are still figuring out the volunteer hours for it.
Okay. And Miles, once you have that paperwork, how long is it typically taking the city to process a check?
So if I get it by Tuesday morning, I can get a check sent that Friday of the same week.
Okay, that'd be good.
After that, it'll come out the following Friday.
Okay, good. That's pretty timely then. Thank you.
And I'll keep my eye out for it, so when it does come in, I'll process it right away. Sometimes things linger on my desk, but I'll make sure to get that through so that you're not.
Yeah, because it's really, to me, it's going to feel very uncomfortably skinny, the balance. Okay.
And then Annie, I can get you that card if you on Sunday or sooner if you want to drop by.
Yeah, I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay,
and we can touch base then.
And I'll be sure to get the reimbursement in and coordinate with Annie on this too as early as possible. We probably won't be until after Thanksgiving, just to make sure that all of the loose ends are tied up for the planting and we count all of the volunteer hours. But we'll definitely make sure that gets expedited to make sure that our account gets replenished. So appreciate, Miles, your diligence in having a quick turnaround on that.
No problem.
Okay. With that, I would like to adjourn the meeting.
I had sent another thing about a wreath for the 75th. But maybe with the bank balance, what it is, we don't have time for that.
You know, I'm sorry I didn't put that on the agenda. I know you mentioned that to me on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot to put it on the agenda.
It's okay. We can, I mean, we can, the suggestion was that we lay a wreath at the military park on behalf of the Highland Neighborhood Association for the 75th. I'm interested in that project, but if you want to table that project till next year, that would
Well, there's a significance of the number
be okay.
75, and next year would be 76 years.
I know. Let's see.
Do you have an estimated cost for the wreath?
Well, I asked Beaverton Florist to let me know what $50 would allow. And so, you know, I would imagine that I'd need to request the wreath, the wreath around by the 1st of December. I don't know if that gives us enough time to get the balance back up.
It sounds like it's going to be quite a challenge to not bounce on zero with the stuff that's going on.
Well, we can, it's fine, we can table it, but I have to show you something, you guys. This is my great uncle who was a sailor, a medic on a hospital ship in the Pacific during World War II. Just to give it. So anyway, yeah, no, that's fine. It was just a thought.
Okay. I'm sorry we didn't get to that. I'd like to adjourn the meeting.
One last thing, I'm just going to slide the link to the yard tree giveaway in here. Sign up now through like January. surveymonkey.com/r/QQRBWVL. Thank you.
All right, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Adam.
Good night. Thank you all for coming.